What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Y'all know we got that smooth new intro. I had to do him like time. So, our boy G is gonna join us soon. Do not fret; he will be here shortly. But that being said, we are gonna get it started because, as you know, we like to be as punctual as possible. So before we get started, as you guys know, or if you don't know, I'm Coach Cam. My man Rico Swap. No, Jeremiah Ramirez, the man, the myth, the legend. And we got the smooth dude G who's going to join us shortly, Glenn Davis. Before we start, though, if you haven't joined us before, let me kind of break down some of the way that we operate here. First things first, do not blame us. And if you make moves based off anything we say on this show, okay, this is strictly our opinion. We are not giving you advice unless you become a client of ours and reach out individually because every person's financial situation is very different. The second thing is the way that we do this every week, one of us will pick 3 articles to talk about that we feel are important for you to know, for you to make educated decisions, not only for your retirement, but for your family, for your job, for travel, whatever have you. But the status of the world, it all revolves, guess what, around money. And so at the end of the day, that's what we're here to talk about. So before we get started, Jeremiah, what's up, man? Busy,
Nothing
busy.
much, bro. This is happy to get to Friday. Obviously, people are excited for their weekend. Last week we had a long weekend,
Mhm.
but I think after it's been a long week, man. But it's been productive. Hopefully, yours has been productive. We out here
As productive it can be with
as
5
productive as it
children who
could be.
got sick.
Yeah, man. We hope the kids get well soon.
The
All
last
of
one
them.
got hit.
These- these-
It'd be like that. Hey, that's the risk you take. That's the risk I took. So so G, funny enough, actually chose the articles this week. But just to remind you guys, obviously you are here for Financial Fridays every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Check all the other times. You can check it on our Facebooks, our LinkedIn's, as well as the YouTube pages, and or the Marathon Facebook group. If you are not a part of it, get to it because it gives you a financial advice every single day, articles to read, things of that nature, just to keep you more informed as a person, consumer, investor, whatever have you. But the first article, I'm gonna let you start it off because I know this is not only was this something we talked about going to, but
Yeah,
this
we
is
should have went through it. Yeah,
what I mean. Hey, honestly, I feel as though August. I was talking to my boy Mo, who you know, and I
yeah.
feel as though August just hit so many people hard, whether it was like sicknesses or just busyness, like the stock market's going, all types of things. And so I talked to a lot of people who there were things they wanted to do in August and they just weren't able to do them because of this, that, or the third.
Life.
Um, life, friggin' life,
Mhm.
bro. And so, but that's okay because we don't let life get you down. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna let you speak on this one because I know this group especially is very near and dear to your heart. I have only recently found out about them, probably within the last year and a half. But I know you've been following them for a long time. So talk to them about it, bro.
So anybody that's been under a rock, or maybe, I won't even say that. I say that, but then again, it's more like a cultural thing. Black and brown are usually pretty in touch with these guys. But if you don't know, InvestFest is the festival that basically mixes hip hop culture with investing, right? So
Mm.
anything that has to do with business, and it's run by Earn Your Leisure, right? Which is actually two black brothers, two partners, Rashad Bilal, Troy Millings, and they came together. And then, of course, the third wheel out of that, and I say the third wheel, please forgive me, but it is Ian Dunlap, the
I was gonna say,
master
what
of
about
himself,
Ian?
which is phenomenal talent. Probably never seen one like that since Warren Buffett, honestly. The predictions, things like that
Yeah.
that he come up with. And so you mix all that energy. Rashad was a financial advisor. Troy was a teacher, so he's an educator, right? And so you have everything that you need. And what you come to, this article is actually talking about how InvestFest is actually giving hope to people that usually doesn't have hope in the financial business space or business space, period.
Yeah.
Um, in so many cases, Cam, and I feel like this is any entrepreneur. right?
For sure.
When you're first starting up, it's very difficult. They say 93% of all businesses fail within the first year.
Oh yeah.
And so if you add on top of that, like the fact that maybe you're a minority, it's a little bit difficult to maybe get your client base started, or you don't know how to drill down in your niche market,
Yeah.
and the funding and things that you need can be very difficult because you probably, you don't have the credit, you don't have, right? And so um, if we actually, this article itself was talking about how they broke down, brought in actual vendors and people that serviced the things necessary, to get you going. Oh, there's G. Go ahead, G. Matter of fact, I was rolling into G. We were talking about the
Oh, you're
investment.
echoing. G, whatever you have it plugged into.
Is he good?
I don't know. I mean, I see you, G. Are you talking? I don't see your lips moving.
Yeah. Hey, how y'all doing?
What's
We're
up,
doing
Can
bro?
y'all hear me?
Yeah, I
We
can
can
hear
hear you.
myself
Hey,
too.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Hey, sorry on the tardiness, man. I appreciate y'all. You know what I love about y'all, man, is y'all never let the ball stop rolling just because of part of the starting lineup isn't here. So, but yeah. So this particular article, man, obviously InvestFest. I don't know where you guys were at, but with InvestFest, one of the reasons why I chose this article um, for a number of reasons. First of all, I want to get a shout out to the brothers, leading this. I know this is their third event, and to have roughly about 20,000 individuals to attend it, and growing that and creating a platform where people have a voice, specifically in the Black community. But I wanted to not only just focus on the Black community, but minority as a whole. And so, uh, like I said, first and foremost, a quick shout out to them for creating that platform. And this particular one, so obviously this article, it was interviewing this individual or this female who was kind of given the game, right? Who was really showing hard data that there are individuals when it comes to the Black community specifically, that entrepreneurs, it's hard for entrepreneurs, it's hard for African American entrepreneurs to actually get funding, right? And so when it comes to actually getting smart and creating and wanting to actually collaborate with people. We've been talking about collaboration the last 6 months, almost every episode. And I thought that this was important because InvestFest was a huge success to many people, right? People wanting to jump into the entrepreneur space. There's a lot of millennials. There's a lot of folks who are wanting to be entrepreneurs but don't have an understanding or a know-how of how to do that. And this is part of the framework of getting people there. Like what we're doing with the financial Fridays is a platform to give people the game so that they can understand how to get and achieve the things they want to achieve. So I wanted to talk about this one, man. That was kind of like my part of my reasoning for selecting this particular article.
Oh, for sure. And like you actually here, mute yourself for a second. There you go. So you actually he's learning, my guy. So and G actually knows somebody not only does he know somebody who went to it, it actually so happens to be a client of ours as well. And so and that was great because I follow them on social media as well, and it was cool to really see them, like they had people repping their brand, taking photos of it, things of that nature. And I know a couple other people who actually just happened to go as well that I didn't even know were going to go. And so it was really kind of cool to not only see it impact as many communities as it did, but actual communities directly that we know and we're associated with and that we want to see win. And we had plans of going, but like Rico and I were talking about initially, life happens. And so that is a goal that will move to next year, but we gonna be there. Just wait. I mean, we gonna have a booth. I want a booth.
And so I want to, and I'll be honest with you, and I know me saying this isn't because I was kind of late getting on, but as I was reading this, like through this whole thing, I was like, I really don't even care if we don't get to the other articles, the other talking points. I really wanted to hear y'all thoughts on it because this is our lane, right? This is something that we've talked about even, you know, uh, in the future of 2024, creating, not saying an InvestFest 2.0, but creating our own to, again, not to, again, what we want to do is help people
Mm.
across the nation and be able to give them sound advice, hard data, hard truth, and help them to create the thing that they want to create, right? Help them achieve the goals financially, right? Mindset wise, coach, so all of that. So want to hear y'all thoughts on this particular article, Invest Fest. I know Rico had some of his folks, they were out at Invest Fest as well.
For me, I think because I talked with Chris. Chris actually went. There's a couple other people that went out, and it's good to just hear from different perspectives what people got, what was their takeaways, and the lane that they're moving in. This is something that was historical because, especially for our community in particular, because there's never been an actual financial literacy seminar or an event that drew out 20,000 people, right? And that was 20,000 people like a day, right? So they counted it per day. So it might have been 40,000. It could have been more than that, right? Different people. It was a 3 day event. And so I think just the impact that it created and then the change that you're starting to see in the mindsets of younger Black and brown people towards investing, towards actually understanding what it is to run a business, right? The different aspects of real estate. There's so many different things that they cover. And you just see the change and the shift in people because there was a generation, right, we were in previous to this that, I mean, nobody knew anything and they weren't trying to really find anything out. And now you see people actually diving in and wanting to learn more and teaching other people about it. And so for me, uh, the actual ripple effect that you see from them and their not just InvestFest, but the weekly shows and what they're doing, their impact is it's phenomenal. And it's something that we've been needed in our community because we haven't ever seen it before. So, 20,000 Black people, man, I'm not, God forgive me, but you know how we do. 20,000 of us in one place. There's usually some shooting, some fighting. I'm keeping it. You know how it is. So
I mean, I
what is
don't think it was 20,000.
No, no, it was
20,000 Black people or 20,000 attendees?
no, no. Literally, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, wow.
20,000 Black people in one particular area, like in one place. That's what was so powerful about it. There was no fighting. There was no shootings, no violence. It was just complete business. It's never been done before,
That's
ever.
good.
It's historical, and it just gives hope to me that no matter where we go, we can do things, and we can hold these type of things and these type of functions and be successful. So that's important.
Yeah. And,
It's kind of like Barack, right?
mhm.
Barack became like you didn't think you could be president until you saw someone that looked like you being president, right? And so look for additional things like this now to pop up because we know it can be done. There's an example, like it can be done, right? Remember, and this is the last thing I'll say. It's like the 4 minute mile, right? The 4 minute mile was a record that stood for the longest time, and then somebody broke it, and then it kept being broken because they just
Mhm.
needed to see somebody break it, and so that's how this is.
For sure. And to speak to your point, I wanted to highlight this was a quote from uh, one of the people that went and was talking about how they're trying to generate 300, or their industry generates 353 billion in retail sales. 50 billion of that is from the Black community in general. I mean, so out of all the ethnicities, I mean, a sixth of this community, or a sixth of your revenue comes from one community. And so that's why they went, though, was to create the impact over 10 years. So, right, it says right here is Pronghorn is here to create 2.4 billion of impact in the Black community over the next 10 years by investing in 57 Black owned brands. So that was an opportunity for how many brands to be like, invest in us. And I think that's just something we haven't seen in a long time. It's normally like trade shows and things like that. It's not an opportunity for people to be like, hey, this is what I got. And investors actually had a way to go through there and potentially find companies they want. It's like a Shark Tank, but without having to apply.
Well, I mean, the greatest thing here's the thing that people have to understand. In the shows leading up to InvestFest, the guys told you, "Hey, make sure you have your pitch ready. Make
Yeah.
sure you
Oh,
have your
facts.
information together." They're like, "Yo, make sure you show up prepared because you never know."
Yep.
Literally going through the vendor section, they brought through Robert Smith, which is
Yep.
the richest Black man in America, right? He went through the vendor set. They brought P Diddy, which is another billionaire, walking him through the vendor section. He's over there buying stuff from vendors, taking pictures. You never know. John Bryant went through there as well. Steve Harvey. Like
Yep.
these are like it's just crazy opportunities you may never have again, and so you always have to be prepared.
Facts.
Facts. And I like the fact that one of the many things I like about them, and just specifically with InvestFace and how it's grown, is it hasn't been through paid advertisement, right? A lot of it was just kind of organic. And so so if people are like, hey, I want to jump into this entrepreneurship realm, but I don't have the startup, I don't have XYZ. Like, here's a true example of, like, when you're passionate about something and you're so driven that you want to execute on an idea, like, you may not need, yes, money opens up doors 100%, but on the flip side of that, like, what relationships are you building that could potentially lead you to, in the room, that can
Mhm.
open up another door? And that's really one of the main points I wanted to drive in with this article, is for, because there's so many people that have, they say they have these amazing ideas, right, these $1 billion ideas, and they just sit on them, right? And we're, again, going back to part of the core of us is being able to have a platform where we're bringing people together to be able to collaborate, share ideas, and create legacy long term, right? That is what I want people. One of the things I want people to take away from the article, because there's nothing that can stop you, right? We get ideas every single day, and it's more of what relationships are you building, what rooms are you getting into, and what are you allowing to stop you to get to the things you want to get to. So yeah, this was an amazing article. Shout out to the boys.
All right. So we'll move on to Tim Cook, Apple.
Yeah. So this particular article, man, I kid you not, the last couple of days, almost everything I was reading, like, the sidebar of it was China, or the sidebar was Apple, the sidebar was tying into what's going on. But uh, so this one was talking about Apple and China has had a symbolic relationship. Just 6 months ago, New Beijing's reported iPhone ban may mean the good feelings are over. So a lot of people are obviously iPhone users, or from a different aspect, they invest in Apple, right? So what is this doing for people who are currently investing in Apple, want to invest in Apple, or iPhone users, etc.? Right. So there's a lot going on between China and Apple right now regarding the Apple ban. There's 1,000 articles right now in the last, I think, 24 hours, on the ban of iPhones. And so I wanted to bring this because, again, so many of our listeners actually have either mentioned that, hey, I invest in Apple, or they utilize Apple products. And so I seen another article late last night, and it was talking about, like, hey, don't forget to reset your phone, because if there's a potential security issue that was highlighted, which kind of ties into the whole banning and the China iPhone relationship. But I thought that this was good because I know some of the people on the call actually invest in Apple. So
So, some of the people on the call, whether they, whether they want the iPhone to win or not. Speak on it, Rico.
I mean, obviously, I don't hide that I don't like Apple products. I never owned one. Actually, I had a work phone that was an Apple iPhone, and I hated it.
By
I don't
choice.
like the
That's
products, but you guys buy them, right? So it's great to invest in. This move, particularly as it happens, I posted something the other day on my Instagram, and I kind of threw it up there, but you can read through the article. It's just outlining how this could obviously lean towards not
whoops.
only hurting Apple, but then hurting the overall. Hurting Nasdaq, and then it ends up hurting S&P. It hurts the market, right? It hurts the American economy. Now, what we should be looking into, India has 3% of its population that invest. Okay, I posted this on my Instagram the other day, and in about 5 years, India will be the most populous country in the world, passing China. Right. So what's the idea? What should we be doing? There's a couple of things. Number one, we should be looking into investing, or Apple should be, and Apple is already there, right? We've talked about it before. Then building plants there, right, and getting Apple iPhone and building that relationship with India. That's going to help to outpace what they lost here, right? If this does happen, then they need to just make sure they have a backup, and the backup might be better than the original. That's number one. And then, the second thought process is keep your money in Apple because they're starting to break into other market shares. So Apple's already looked into the Apple Car, right? They've
Mm-hmm.
looked into making their own electronic battery, and they've also looked into getting into the biomed space, right? So biotech space. That's
Yep.
going to be next for Apple. And so they understand that you only so many people are going to have their phones, right? And eventually, and what China's doing because it owns most of the companies, right, is you ban it as an American company, and then you bring in Huawei, which is a company that they own and make more money. So this is all going on, and this is socioeconomic mixing with economic. And so I don't think you need to like. I wouldn't sell my Apple stock or anything just based on this because they've already got the backup. Apple saw this coming,
Mm-hmm.
right? They send people over there. Tim Cook, like they've been trying to foster that relationship, knowing that it's a very contentious relationship between China and America. And then BRICS happened, and so there's all these things. So they knew this was coming, which is why they began building a relationship with India. So I mean, Apple, is it short term? Could it be harmful? Yeah, but I think in the long run, it'll end up obviously bouncing back and doing better than it was in China because India is open for business.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the other things to consider, and I'm gonna highlight it on here, is that so the news hits Apple stocks hard. Shares are now down almost 7% over the past 2 days, wiping out 2 billion. Apple is still the world's most valuable company by far at 2.7 trillion. So the fact that you have a 2 billion, like yo, who if your company is the size where 2 billion is a drop in the bucket, bro, like
Two
like
hundred billion.
200, excuse
Yeah,
me,
200.
200 billion, excuse me,
Two
is a
hundred
drop
billion.
in the bucket. Like, all right, bro, we're still good. Um, I don't, I ain't selling that. If anything, I'm a DCA. For those of you that don't know, that's called dollar cost averaging.
They just became a bank too. People keep forgetting about that because Apple revealed so much. They revealed the headset, right? They revealed that they were becoming a bank, right? So they got cash influx to invest in other things. They're thinking about buying Disney.
Nope.
It's all kinds of stuff going on right now, and so they're very well diversified. I mean, yeah, it hurts a little bit, but it'll bounce back.
Easily.
I have a question for the both of you guys. So let's say um, I'm a new investor, or I'm looking to get into investing, right? And I obviously Apple. I always hear Apple, but I want to invest in Apple based off of what's going on right now. Um, well, I guess a lot of factors go into my question, but overall, the question is: would you recommend someone who has the cash, right, to actually go and invest in Apple, like right now?
Right now.
What would you do?
What would you do? Don't do that. No, I'm just kidding. No. So I would. So if I had having the funds in this scenario, I would, because of, I think again the last 4 or 5 months, the amount of articles that we've read on just Apple, the expansion Rico kind of touched on in India, like they have a contingent plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would invest in it. I would invest in it for the long run, right? Like Apple, I don't see Apple going away the next 5 to 10 years. I feel that they're with AI coming, and or AI's already been here, but I feel that with so much of technology running the world, and Apple leading that fort, even if they drop to number two, number three, they're still going to find innovative ways to be innovative, right? And so I would definitely invest.
Yep. So I know it doesn't show it, but because Restream is dumb sometimes, but Lauren McDonald on LinkedIn said, but isn't the bank connected to Goldman? And so yes, it is connected to Goldman, but that's just the place where the money is held. At the end of the day, Apple still has access to that capital. It's the same thing with Starbucks. When Starbucks comes out with all
Starbucks
those,
can't pay.
when yeah, Starbucks became a bank when they put all that they allowed you to put all that money inside the app. Because you can't take the money out. It's once you deposit $25, that $25 can sit there for 2 years. But Starbucks can now have access to it because they then spend that money in all types of things. And
Sure.
so she said they're having trouble with Goldman. I mean, in retrospect, if there's it's Apple and it's Goldman, they'll come to an agreement. They'll figure out the terms. So, and at the end of the
It's a,
day, if
it's
not, Apple
it's
will
a
find somewhere
technology.
else.
It's a technology thing. That's what people don't see. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not money,
Hmm.
right? Goldman being one of the most respected and an actual brokerage that made it through 2008. There were so many that dropped off. Lehman used to be what Goldman is now, right? Lehman Brothers. People probably don't remember them, but they fell off.
Before the
So,
crash.
like, Goldman made it through that. This is about technology. That's what it's about. It's about because Goldman has fintech technology that Apple wants them to basically let them license. It's a whole different. They don't broadcast this stuff, but that's really what it's about. It's about technology. It's not really about money, right? They'll put out there, oh, this and this. Like when you're talking about trillion, eh, Goldman probably manages dang near $1 trillion
Hmm.
off the record, right? And so when you're at that level, it's not about money. It's about other things, impact and branding, and so that's really what that's about. That issue that they're having between the two of them. By the way, on the sneak, I want to say something real quick. Another reason I would, as Glenn asked, another reason I would keep my money in Apple, but never buy one, by the way, but keep my money in Apple is the fact that on the sneak, on the low, nobody really noticed it. ChatGPT is now it's an app, correct? Everyone knows about AI, ChatGPT. That's owned majority stake by Microsoft, but it's on Apple phones. I'll leave that right there. You're like, what? Wait, what are you talking about? Microsoft owns ChatGPT because Eric, right? So OpenAI is majority owned, 51% shares, right? It's owned by Microsoft. Microsoft owns that, right? It infuses cash to them, but that's on Apple. So now you have Microsoft and Apple collaboration between the two because that app is on Apple iPhones.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things,
Oh,
or probably what she's talking about, I looked it up, is that Apple Card has lost Goldman Sachs money, so that's why they're looking to potentially go to American Express. A lot of those things, like you said, though, Rico, are platform issues, technology issues.
It's tech. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Remember, that's why I was saying they'll tell you it's money, right? Like even before she said what did I say? I was like, they'll say it's money, but it's really tech, and the tech is like branding because no matter, even though Apple's the number one company, right, in the world, like you also have to think that at the end of the day, when you think computers and when that is still etched in brain, maybe now with the newer generation, but overall, because we're still alive, Microsoft is still number one. You still think of Bill Gates first. Then you think about Steve Jobs, right? So it's a whole like legacy type of play here. It's deeper than just money because everybody has money at that level,
For sure.
basically.
If it's something else, Lauren, please elaborate. Drop a link, and we can see
Please,
it. And we'll
yeah,
check it out. Because
I'm trying to be.
if we're still saying wrong, we're not mind readers. So, so that being said, we'll move on to the third article. We're a little over, so we'll hit it quick. So as I pull it up, G, it is the car sharing app for Turo.
yeah. So one of the things that kind of stood out to me why I picked this article is because I know there's a lot of changes going on in Airbnb, right? And so Turo is kind of like quote unquote like the car Airbnb in a sense, right? And so with so many people that I've come across over the last 2 years, uh, have Toro or use Toro, whether from a investment standpoint or consumer, right?
Mhm.
And so this particular one I wanted to kind of bring on this platform just very briefly, just to raise awareness because again, people use Toro, people are jumping into the business of Toro, and so understanding the changes, them actually now potentially going public to be able to invest in stocks, right? And so not only can you go into the business, but potentially you will have the opportunity, with it being publicly traded, for you to actually invest. So there's a couple of different plays that you can go within this investment play, and so that's why I wanted to bring this particular one to the table. I know we're over time, so that's just kind of the framework.
Yeah, I mean, with everything going on and kind of the mute yourself, G. With everything going on in the space of like Airbnb, Turo. I mean, I've talked about it before with all the crackdowns on regulations. I mean, unfortunately, America is just not in a good space right now to like, we don't have an abundance of things, to include cars, to include housing. I mean, we're going down the road of not having an abundance of food right now, depending on what you're looking for. And so, unfortunately, these, I would say, luxury type things where it's like, oh, we have enough to just spare if you need it. Um, those are going to be scarce for a little while. And so Turo, not being, and not to mention, it's just expensive now. So, a lot of like, I mean, I went to San Diego and gas was $6. I paid over $100 to fill up my Pilot. Like, come on, bro. Like, this ain't a truck. So, and so that being said, that's just kind of the kind of hitting things that are happening due to what we have going on in the economy right now, and services like Turo and Airbnb and things of that nature are going to be massively affected, right?
I think that when it comes to luxury goods, and you can see Turo and Airbnb being affected as luxury goods, or kind of, they kind of equate to the same type of, I don't know, kind of category of that. Um, it's weird because the richest man in the world is Arnold, right? Which is MB, MB, what is it, LVMH,
Mm-hmm.
and all of his goods, none of them are a necessity. They're non-essential. All of them are luxury goods, right? But he's linked to a niche, and that niche market, deals with the rich of the world. And here's the thing: Turo and Airbnb, rich people really don't use them. Like at a certain level, they don't really use them, right? Because they just have so much money. They either own homes in the cities they go to, or there's an elite type thing, a resort or something that they have going on, right? They don't want to be with common people. And so initially, though, these type of things used to be for the rich, right? A car service to drive you around, elite timeshares. But as it started being more generalized, they moved into just doing different things. So the fact that these aren't aligned directly with the wealthy, I think that's a big part of the problem. The IPO will probably go well, but I don't know. I don't know if long term, I don't know how that's going to look. So it's going to be interesting. We'll have to see.
Cool. We're at our time. So yeah, just to kind of to wrap everything up, the I was intentional with selecting these three articles. Obviously, again, InvestFest, one of the hottest topics that's being talked about right now and in the minority community. And I thought that it was important to elaborate on the InvestFest and just kind of give some of our perspective, right? Because you will start to see us in our hands and the projects that we have our hands involved in, closing out 2023, going into 2024, of opening up that door and expanding it to provide more opportunities for individuals to collaborate, come together, and continue to provide value to the community, especially in the financial space. That's who we are. That's what we do. That's what we believe, love, and so that was there. Obviously, Apple's always a hot topic, and then the Turo space from an investment standpoint, whether to jump in or not jump in, long or short term. That's really why I wanted to bring the conversation today. But like I said, we could have talked about that InvestFest all 30 minutes. But anyway, with that being said, I appreciate y'all time. Thanks for taking the lead on it for me, fellas. Um, yeah, that's my time.
That's why it's good to have a team. Um, so Rico, why don't you tell them about what's going on during our week, and then we'll cut out.
For sure, guys. So obviously, this was Financial Fridays. We'll just wrap up the whole entire market. Then on Monday, we have Money Mondays with us three again. That is on Instagram specifically. Money Mondays is where we sit and actually talk about us being licensed fiduciaries and things that are going on with our clients and also in that world. Then on Wednesday, we usually drop the Latin Wealth Wednesdays episode with myself and Chris Bayoso. Wonderful topics coming from Latinos and the way that it affects Latinos in particularly. But it's great information for anybody to join in, good information to join there. And then, of course, you also have the Growth Hour with Latrina. All right, she is on Wednesday nights as well. She has that Growth Hour. She has various different people on, and she's just giving you the perspective of coming from, a mother right? Somebody that's out here being an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, the different journey, the things that she's going through, and the way money is affecting them. And then, right, we go to Thursdays. We have Taylor Talk, and Taylor Talk is with myself and Carlton Bryant, and that is on Facebook Live. We do that, and that's just we say talk cut from a different cloth. You see self motivation, character development, financial relationships. Join in on that, and of course, Financial Fridays. We're right back here. Appreciate these guys, and do me a favor if you enjoyed this and this is information you can use. Share this with 5 people, not 3. Share it with 5 people that could use this financial information.
Yep. And we'll see you guys later. We out.